Hey everyone, and welcome. If you spend any time around cloud computing, you've probably heard a whole alphabet soup of acronyms thrown around: IaaS, SaaS, and the one we're diving into today, PaaS, which stands for Platform as a Service. Now, it might sound super technical, but trust me, it's the invisible engine behind so many of the apps you use every single day, and it is completely changing the game for how software is made.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start by breaking down what PaaS actually is, and then we'll peek under the hood to see how it works. From there, we'll get into the business advantages, see how it stacks up against the more familiar SaaS model, and finally, we'll look ahead at what this all means for the future of tech.
So why are we even talking about this? Well, check out this number. In 2024 alone, the global market for PaaS is estimated to be worth $176 billion. That's not just some footnote for tech insiders. It's a massive economic force that's literally reshaping how companies innovate and compete.
To really get a handle on a number that big, we have to start with the absolute basics. So, what exactly is Platform as a Service? Well, I think the best way to think about it is as the ultimate digital playground for software developers.
Let's try an analogy. Imagine you want to open a new restaurant. You could buy a plot of land, build the building from the ground up, install all the plumbing, the wiring, everything. Or you could lease a fully equipped, ready-to-go kitchen, where everything is already set up for you. PaaS is that ready-to-go kitchen, but for developers. The cloud provider handles all the annoying back-end stuff, the hardware, the software, so developers can just walk in and focus on what they do best, cooking up brilliant applications.
Okay, but how does a provider deliver this magical, ready-to-go kitchen? Let's take a look under the hood at the engine that makes PaaS so incredibly powerful.
It really all starts with a core infrastructure. The PaaS provider takes care of all the physical stuff, the servers, the storage, the networking, all the things you don't want to worry about. On top of that, they layer on all the key services a developer needs. Things like databases, operating systems, and dev tools. But honestly, the real magic happens in the automated layers. Security is managed for you, connecting to other services is made simple, and, this is the big one, the platform can scale up or down automatically.
And that automatic scalability, it is a total game changer. Just imagine your app suddenly goes viral overnight. A PaaS environment can handle that spike in traffic in two ways. It can scale horizontally, which basically means it just spins up more copies of your application to spread out the work. Or it can scale vertically, which means it beefs up an existing copy with more power, like more CPU or more RAM. The most important part is that this all happens automatically, on demand, without a developer having to wake up in the middle of the night to fix it.
Now, all this automation and flexibility isn't just a cool technical feature. It translates directly into some serious business advantages. So what are the actual tangible benefits that have turned PaaS into a $176 billion market?
The benefits for any business are just huge. First off, you get to market way faster because your team isn't bogged down building and configuring servers from scratch. That, of course, leads directly to lower costs, since you're not shelling out a ton of cash for physical hardware and the people to manage it. We just talked about the easy, cost-effective scalability, which means you only pay for what you use, whether you've got 10 users or 10 million. It all adds up to giving your development teams more flexibility and a lot more freedom to experiment with new ideas, all without risking a huge upfront investment.
Look, if you remember just one thing from this, let it be this. PaaS fundamentally shifts your team's focus. It pulls your developers away from worrying about servers and network cables and lets them concentrate on what actually moves the needle: innovation, building better features, and creating more value for your customers.
Now, it's really important to understand that PaaS isn't just a single product. In the real world, it's actually this incredibly diverse landscape of specialized platforms, and each one is tailored for a different purpose.
You can seriously find a PaaS for almost any need you can think of. Beyond the standard public, private, or hybrid models, you've got these highly specialized versions. For example, Communication PaaS, or CPaaS, lets developers easily plug things like voice, video, and messaging right into their apps. You've got Mobile PaaS, or MPaaS, which is built to handle the unique challenges of building for phones. And then there's AI/ML PaaS, which gives developers the insane computing power they need to train and deploy complex artificial intelligence models without having to build their own supercomputer.
And all this variety means it's used all over the place. Startups use PaaS to prototype new ideas super fast. We're talking building and testing in days instead of months. Big companies use it for heavy-duty stuff like big data analytics or building huge custom software solutions. It's also become the backbone for something called iPaaS, Integration Platform as a Service, which is essential for getting all the different cloud apps a company uses, like Salesforce and Workday, to actually talk to each other.
This brings us to a really common point of confusion in the cloud. What's the difference between PaaS and its more famous sibling, SaaS, or Software as a Service? Let's clear this up right now. Let's go back to our restaurant analogy. PaaS is that fully equipped kitchen that you lease to create your own unique dishes. SaaS, on the other hand, is the finished meal delivered right to your table. Think about apps like Microsoft 365 or Salesforce. You don't build them, you just subscribe and use them. It's that simple. PaaS is for the chef, SaaS is for the diner.
And if we look even closer, the main differences really boil down to purpose and control. The whole purpose of PaaS is creation. Its audience is developers. They're the ones managing their own app and their own data, which gives them a ton of customization and control. The purpose of SaaS is consumption. Its audience is regular end users. With SaaS, the vendor manages absolutely everything, which makes it super simple to use, but you get very little room for customization.
Understanding these differences is so important, because PaaS isn't just another tool in the toolbox. It's really a signpost pointing to the future of how all software is going to be built.
At the end of the day, the ultimate power of PaaS is just how accessible it is. It gives you a foundation that's flexible enough to experiment on, scalable enough for massive growth, and affordable enough for everyone, from a single developer in their garage to a huge Fortune 500 company. It just dramatically lowers the barrier to entry for innovation.
But, this convenience does come with some trade-offs. The biggest one is probably what's called vendor lock-in. Once you build your app on one provider's platform, it can be really difficult and expensive to move it somewhere else later. You also give up some of that deep, granular control over the hardware, which might be an issue for really specialized applications.
And this all leads us to a final, really critical question. As incredibly demanding technologies like generative AI become more and more central to how business is done, the need for powerful, instantly scalable platforms is just exploding. So we have to ask, is PaaS evolving from being just another option into the default, essential foundation for all future digital innovation?